weekly dose of TOK. So in this lesson we focused on subjectivity and understanding, with a specific focus there on the human sciences. So we started off by looking at a YouTube short about objective versus subjective reactions. Some very good advice there on the language that you need to use in essays. You then, before the lesson, had that flip learning activity where you looked at several different sources of information. For example, you might have looked at the upgrade that you would have to a game. Objectively, is that a good upgrade? Subjectively, is that a good upgrade? They would give very, very different answers. You might have looked at questions to ask about an upgrade. There's the table of comparisons comparing subjective and objective questions. If a tree falls, classic example. And then you might have had that free choice where you made thought about fake news. So I think it's really important that whenever we look at concepts in TOK, we have a think. You will be asking yourself, well, how is this going to help me to make better essays? How is this going to help me to get better grades in my other subjects? So fundamentally with the human sciences, you have this objectivity and subjectivity. So human sciences are special. They are different from the natural sciences. Humans start interacting with things, and because humans are interacting with something, you need to use both subjective and objective understandings of something. So by using those, it helps us to get the idea of complexity and will help you with your critical thinking. So here specifically, we had to think about the Griffin-Ford model. You don't need to know what that is unless you're a geography student, but it is a model about cities in Latin or South America, and to ask yourself, if you studied that model for your entire life, without never having gone to a South American city, would you be able to understand what a South American city is like? In theory, yes, you would. In practice, you wouldn't. And it's not until you went to maybe one of those slums or favelas in Sao Paulo that you would really understand what a South American city is. So there we can see that interaction between objectivity and subjectivity. Again, in the context here of economics, we thought about the invisible hand. In theory, hypothetically, that model should work. It should explain how our economies work. But economies work because of people. They don't work because of a theory or hypothesis. So again, as soon as you involve people start changing things, interacting with things in a very complex way. So just again, to emphasize, why are you doing this? Why does it matter? Well, certainly in economics, it really does matter, because if we have people making decisions, not using the full range of data, not actually considering the impacts of their policy on real people, if they just apply the model, it's not going to work out very well for people. So we dug down in a little bit further at the subjective aspects of the invisible hand. So there are limitations. Again, with any model, there are simplifications. So subjectively and objectively, to actually decide how we're going to run our economy, we need both pieces of information. So then we went on to have a look, with the help of some AI generated text, about the role of subjective and objective understanding in human sciences. So in human sciences, unlike maybe the natural sciences or experimental sciences, we need both things, because human beings actually start interacting with that experiment. Human beings start interacting with that model. Human beings are complex. The society that people live in is very complex. there are billions of us, and we all have an impact. We all change things. So you cannot possibly understand what's going on in the human sciences unless you understand or try to understand those complexity that human interactions bring with something. So to remember, there is a key to strike a careful balance between the two, using objective knowledge and subjective knowledge in your human science essays. You do need both. The exact balance between the two will vary depending on your subjects. So I would suspect a subject like psychology has a bias towards the human element. A more theoretical subject like economics might have a bias towards the more theoretical side. So the exact balance between subjectivity and objectivity will vary between the different subjects, but fundamentally, human sciences, you need to understand objective and subjective pieces of information and how that subjectivity and objectivity generate knowledge.